What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be going over how to program swaps using the Jupyter API. Let's get right into it. So we're going to be referencing the docs over at Jupyter under the V6 API. Now, just getting started, there's some dependencies you'll need to install here. Obviously, you need Node.js or something comparable. Which apparently Bun 1.2 is supposed to launch today. I'm going to be checking that out, but I digress. So these are the dependencies you'll need. And getting started with the imports and connection here. So we're just importing those dependencies and building a connection to our RPC node with that first little bit. So open up your favorite IDE. I'm using Cursor as it really kind of speeds things up for me. And then I'm just going to save this file. And we're going to go basic. Whoops. Call it basic swap.ts. Yeah. So this code I think is in JavaScript, and I'm working in TypeScript. It's basically the same, but it might be different enough that we might need to do some slight changes. But so in the constant connection, you need a RPC address. We're just going to put the mainnet api.mainnet-beta.solana.com. That's good enough for what we're doing today. But if you're building actual bots or whatever, you're going to want, a better paid RPC service. And then let's see here. I don't actually like using Serum Anchor, but we'll just get into it. We're going to follow the docs for right now. So this is how to set up your wallet. We're just going to copy that. We'll just go over the code so you understand. So constant wallet, a new wallet key pair from secret key. This is in BS58, base 58 decode, and this is pulling an environment variable private key. So what you could do is just put your private key in here, and that would work. Or you could import it with a environment variable like they did here. And this is just saying it's never blank. So my private key works a little bit different. So this is if you're using the base 58 like hash form of a private key. Now mine is in the array form. So mine's a little bit different. So I'm just gonna, if you did a generated wallet from Solana CL command line, then you have to do something a little bit different. It's basically the same, but key pair. Trying to remember how you do that. fs read file sync keypair.json. We do need to import fs, and it's actually import star from as fs from fs, and then it's not from secret key, it's keypair.uint, I think, from secret key uint8 array from, yeah, like that, I believe. So if you're using the array form private key, you'll have to do this. If you're doing the other hash private key, you can use the example in the docs. Okay. The next part, we've got, first thing you got to do before you can do a swap on Jupyter is get a quote for it. So that's what we're doing here. I'm going to paste that in. And this URL here, it's literally just a URL. You can just grab this with watch this. You can get a quote in your command line with curl. On Windows is curl.exe. And we're just gonna go with this. So it's all in one line. Oops. It's missing the other side of the quote. Bam. There's a response. So that's all this thing is doing. That's all this part is doing is it's fetching this data and then putting it into a form that it understands, which it shows you put in 1, you get out this many, and that's it. And this output threshold is after all the slippage and everything. So or other amount threshold, I mean. And you know, there's some options in here and stuff, but your input mint, output mint, it's all there. And we'll go over all of that stuff in a little bit. And so that's all this is doing, is it's awaiting for this fetch to return, and it's putting it into JSON form. And then we're gonna do, what's next? All right, swap. Okay, so here's the swap. And this is the most basic version. We'll go over some more sort of ways of doing this. So, okay, so now it's waiting for this, and it needs to include the quote response that we got up here. So it fetches this URL with the sending it the quote data and your public key. And these are the options. You don't have to have this. In fact, I prefer this wrap and unwrap Solana off. Or actually, you have to hard set it to false to get it to false. So we'll just leave it for right now so that it works better. But I like turning that off. There's other options that you can do here, and those are all in the get post swap stuff. Like these are all the options you can set here. And then so let's get back to it. No. Oh, my cursor's been crashing lately. That'd be time to try GitHub Copilot. All right. So now we've done the quote, we've sent the swap. Now we have to build the actual transaction. So first we need, so swap transaction serialized to string base 64. I think that's right. We're just going to follow the docs. Basically doing the same thing. Okay. So we're just going to follow their method of doing it here. There's multiple ways to build it, but for the sake of simplicity, we're going to stick to what the docs say. Let's say property.pair, and you don't need that .pair in there, so you just say wallet. So next we need to get a block hash, serialize it, get an ID, and wait for confirmation, it looks like is what they've got. Bam. So you see we're getting errors about these await. We're going to have to, there's a couple ways to solve this. And the easiest way for this example is we're going to just put all of this inside of a function. So starting with this first await where it's quote response, we're going to say, let's see, function async function swap. And it's going to put the open-ended curly brace, and then we're going to put the closed-end curly brace on this side, and then swap parentheses colon at the bottom. So that encloses all of that stuff into a function that we can call from other programs, basically, or other scripts. And so I'm just going to give us some space right there. And then that's pretty much it. This next part is to add some error handling and stuff like that for better error logs and stuff like that. But this is it. That's all it really takes to do a swap in the most basic form. Now there are more advanced versions that you can do, but this is the essential basic. Now we're not using this anchor or base 58 because I use this way of fetching the private key. But you might need those if you're doing something else or using their method. It looks like you will need base 58 if you're using their method, but I don't need it for this. So you can clean up any imports you're not using. I'm just going to leave those there just for simplicity's sake. But then we want to, let's see, where do we do? Open a command prompt and try to run this thing. ts node basic swap.ts. Bad secret key size. Yeah, that's not quite right on how to import the key. Let me just look. JSON parse is what we're missing. Right? Yeah, we need the JSON parse in there. fs.read file sync. Yeah. So I think that's right now. Yep. So yeah, we need the JSON parse to be able to read that. All right, valid argument type. It's still line 49. Let's see what Claude has to say about it here. If you're getting errors, you can just feed them back into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're using. It honestly is a really great way to debug your code. So let's see what he changed here. That doesn't look like they changed much. I think they just added some error code there just to check for errors. All right, we'll accept it. Get deserialized transactions here. It doesn't look like he really changed anything. He just got rid of the comments in there. He changed that to a constant. All right. Well, we're just gonna accept the changes and see if it runs this time. There it goes. So I don't know exactly what he changed. It wasn't that much. That was the only thing I really noticed was he changed this to a constant instead of a variable. But he just said instead of calling this swap transaction, we're gonna call this response, which this seems to be the better way of doing it. So change that constant to response. Say on this line 49 response dot swap transaction, and that's the fix. It looks like. And so this is just the most basic way to code a swap on Jupe, and there's actually other ways you can do it as well, which if you come down here a little bit farther, you'll see the instructions instead of transaction. That's a way. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's better in a lot of ways because it's using account address lookup tables to find the accounts. It's in a way that you can do a lot more complex stuff, but you would just, though it's instead of swap, so see this is instructions. So instead of the swap here, this is where you would replace everything here to the end with the code here for instructions instead of transaction. And that's pretty much it. Let's see. The other thing you might need is this setting priority fee for transaction. I noticed that our first attempt didn't go through. Solana's been pretty congested lately, so I've been running into this with a lot of the different code that I've been doing. It executes and shows a signature, but it's not showing up on SolScan. And if you run into that, you are probably not using a large enough budget for the compute unit price. And the way to fix that is right here, setting priority fee. Where is it? Oh, so they did it inside of the swap. Priority fee. Prioritization. So that's that little bit right there. Oh, dynamic compute unit limit. I haven't used that. All of this stuff, that's probably overkill, honestly, but let's just check it out. That's in the swap, right? Yep. So here in the response, which is our swap endpoint, we would add comma and then that stuff there. Now, I don't think it needs all of this, but let's just try it. What's this complaining about? There we go. Needed a closing curly brace for that. And so let's give it a test. Oh, we still got all of this extra logging enabled. That's okay, whatever. Looks like it went through. It's waiting for confirmation. I don't really like doing that because I've noticed that it just doesn't respond with the confirmation. So I usually just get rid of the await for confirmation. You don't actually have to get a confirmation. You can just get the TX ID and then check it out. So because it's probably going to time out. I don't know if that's I think it's an RPC issue, but I'm not really sure. But let's just check out the account. "47 seconds ago, it probably had like a custom program error. This error, this custom program error 6001 is usually because of slippage. We don't need that many max LAN ports. We're just going to go 1 million. And then we're going to change the swap amount here to be 0.001. We're going to take a couple zeros off of that. The other thing, I've seen this slippage, that 6001 error due to slippage. We're going to increase the slippage to 1%, which is 100. So let's give that a test. We got rid of the, yeah, for whatever reason, the confirm does not work very well. And in fact, what I like to do when I'm programming is I'll do this skip pre-flight and then just don't even confirm it. The waiting for the confirmation seems to time out every time. There it is. So that one went through and it looks like, I think this one should land. Yep. So this one landed. Success. 001 for 0.26 USDC. And there's our fee. And yeah. So that's pretty much it. And then, like I said, you can change to an instruction with this code right here. Super easy. Just instead of calling the swap, you call swap instructions. So you would replace all of that bit of code. And in fact, it's very easy to do. So if you're doing more complex stuff, you'll probably need instructions, like saying you're doing multiple swaps or whatever. You're going to need this one, not the regular swap. So just a heads up, but these docs are pretty well built. We had minimal issues getting that up and running. We did have one thing where we had to kind of get the AI's help on, but it didn't really change much. If you're working in JavaScript, it'll probably work right out of the box. I work in TypeScript because there's a lot more SDKs and different things readily available to work with. But if you're working with APIs like this, you can use whatever you want. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you found it helpful. Let me know as soon as you do your first program swap. Peace.